Hello, this is going to be a very very quick one, and apparently a very out of focus one. Uh, I have had a couple of conversations recently, and I think that they've moved me enough to kind of get frustrated, which is rare. And I want to just have a quick talk about that. When I have conversations with religious people or people who believe in the supernatural, I want to have a friendly conversation. I want to have a conversation that is meaningful and in which we can talk to honestly to each other and explore the subjects together. And I've had a couple of conversations recently which haven't really gone down that route. And it's not through lack of trying on my part. I can identify exactly what the problem is, and or the problems are, and they tend to be twofold. The first one, which comes from a conversation I had on Facebook, or a couple of conversations I've had on Facebook recently, is this idea when you're talking to people and you're trying to identify what they believe and why they believe it, and they try going down this kind of esoteric, very profound sounding route. That frustrates the hell out of me, and it frustrates the hell out of me because, first of all, I've got many years of experience in traditions like Buddhism and the various schools of Buddhism and Taoism I've looked into as well, that have use these methods of kind of profoundness to get the teachings across. And I think it's kind of these things that these people are aiming to emulate. And unfortunately, they don't succeed. When you're trying to kind of sound esoteric and you're trying to sound like really profound, very rarely does it succeed that you're doing it. You sound like you've swallowed a Deepak Chopra, like kind of word generator, a lot of the time when you're doing that. And if you've genuinely studied those things and you genuinely understand the meaning of those things, you don't have to go down that kind of profound sounding route, because these when they're made in the traditions that they're made in, these profound statements, they are made to either individuals that they are catered for specifically, or to students who understand the deeper meaning of those things. And when you just come onto a forum like Facebook and start throwing these things out there to try and make yourself sound like you've got some kind of deep spiritual awakening, it really doesn't work. It makes you sound a bit silly. It really does make it sound a bit silly. Please stop doing that. I mean, if you understand these things, and you want a specific conversation about how koans are used in Zen and things like that, that's fair enough. But this isn't what I'm referring to. I'm referring to people who want to kind of elicit this idea that they've got a deeper understanding of God, and the only way that you can understand God is by following this deeper understanding yourself. And in order to do that, butterflies become the moon and flowers become your heart and all this nonsense. Really stop doing it. It frustrates the hell out of me. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. In fact, there's a famous Donovan song. There's a line from a Donovan song which paraphrases a Zen poem. And it goes, first there is the mountain and there is no mountain, then there is. And it's talking about the stages of kind of wisdom, or stages of like moving towards enlightenment and getting these subtler, deeper understandings. And I can firmly say that the majority of the people I talk to who use this language are firmly stuck in the then there is no mountain stage. They have not reached the then there is, which is what they want to kind of portray themselves as having reached. Try harder. The second kind of thing I want, the conversations that I've had, I had one on TikTok, and what was the other one I had one? I had one on some other social media platform, and I've seen a couple of these as well on various call-in shows, The Atheist Experience and Talk Heathen, maybe even, is when people are talking, and this specifically for some reason comes into the realm of deism. And I got really frustrated when I had this conversation on TikTok the other day. And when people are talking about deism, and they always end up equivocating God with something that we already know exists and we already have a reasonable explanation of, like the universe, or things like that. And they want to kind of paint it in the way in such that, oh no, we're not redefining it, but that's what it actually is. We're not redefining it until we do redefine it. We're not redefining it, it's God, until you push them. And then they start to redefine it when you start to push them. And it's frustrating. The specific guy I talked to, other on the Atheist Experience TikTok channel, the specific guy I talked to was equivocating this deist aspect with the idea that the singularity that from which the universe came was a necessary being. And when we kind of went down the path of exploring this, he said, yeah, that is exactly the way I explained this the potential idea that this singularity could be a necessary being. Not that I was making that claim, I was just exploring different ideas. And they were saying, yes, that is exactly what I mean. They are, that is exactly what I'm trying to explain. And I said, well, why are you using the word deism then? Because deism has a specific meaning and it invokes an intelligence. And yet, at the same time, you're not claiming that there's any intelligence to this, only that there might be. And the conversation got really frustrating really quickly for both of us, I might add. And I think that's really frustrating for me in particular, because that all stemmed from trying to redefine it. And his kind of argument against that was, well, you're talking about deism and I'm talking about this concept called wider deism. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you rename it. What you're doing is equivocating something with something else. When it suits, you're saying you're not talking about an intelligence, but yet you're using language which infers an intelligence, and that makes the conversation really frustrating, and it's really, really not necessary to do. If you didn't redefine it as deism, if you just said, my belief is the singularity is a necessary being, we could have stopped there and agreed. It was only because it was putting this extra baggage on. And I've found in both the conversations I've had recently and watching other conversations, this is always how deism conversations go. They kind of want to use this word deism to sneak in this concept. But when you push them on it, no, that's not what we're trying to do at all. No. Yes, it is. Everybody knows it is. You know you're doing. Just be honest. Just be honest. And what this guy I spoke to yesterday did, which I also find frustrating, as I'm having a moan, I might as well moan about everything. What this guy I was talking to yesterday did, which I also found frustrating, was he used politeness as a weapon in the conversation. When I was clearly getting frustrated, and he was misrepresenting me. So I interrupted him because he was misrepresenting me. He started giving it the, oh, why are you interrupting me? I'm trying to have a nice conversation. Why are you interrupting me and making this unpleasant? I'm interrupting you, mate, because you're saying things about my position which aren't true. Don't do it. It's very, very naughty.